Recently, I stepped foot into my very first Apple store. And just like everybody's experience with Apple, I looked around and I couldn't afford anything, right? It's kind of the same thing with Lego. You know, Lego, Apple, they're very similar, very premium products, right? However, luckily for me, I had some Legos at home and I could build a Lego iPhone. Heck yeah. However, I wanted to take that one step further, and I had this idea of building a Lego Apple store. So today we're going to try and build a Lego Apple store. Let's cut to that right now. The very first thing I did to build this Apple store out of Lego was creating a base for it to go on, and I had to start with the Apple logo because the Apple logo is very curved and kind of hard to replicate with Lego, and I think I did an okay job. We'll see a cool technique I use later on to attach that. And then I started the borders of the building and the doors. So like I said earlier, here's our Apple logo. I use these gray, I don't know what you call these pieces, but you can attach them at an interesting angle, use the stud, and they'll kind of combine. It's hard to do it one-handed. There we go. Okay, and then I also have the little leaf of the apple, or stem, I don't know. It's going to kind of be a similar technique. I'll have to install it at an angle. But here's the rest of what we've got. The doors, I wanted to do automatic, or like sliding doors, but it didn't work. It didn't make sense, and it didn't look good. It's going to be a short Apple store, but the interior, I think, is where it will mainly shine. The exterior will kind of just be a gray square. That's literally, I gotta say, Apple stores have like the coolest looking layout of all time. I mean, like, when was the last time you saw an Apple store? Like, the first time I saw one, I was blown away. Like, I'd seen pictures and whatnot. Holy cow, they looked really cool. And they're like glass. I'm like, dude, somebody could easily like throw a rock and break the glass, but I know that's like not how they work, but that's what I thought when I first saw one. So for this section of the build, I spent time building up the rest of the walls and then attaching a roof to the top. And that was an interesting challenge because I didn't know how I wanted it to look, because the way Apple stores are, like I said, they look really cool. Thankfully, since they look really cool and modern, I can just do a flat roof, which is what I did, and it looks nice. I started running out of gray bricks and light gray, so that's kind of a problem, so we had to use dark gray, and I ran out of glass a long time ago. So what are you gonna do? Here's where we're at right now. The roof looks great. I would love to tile the whole thing, but I'm gonna use all these tiles through the around the building and the inside, and this does come off. I used some plates to kind of keep it in place there, so it kind of, you'll have to jiggle it a little bit, but once it's on, and I think it looks all right. It's pretty modern. I like the logo. Normally I save installing tiles till the very end, but I feel pretty confident with the exterior of this Apple store, so I put a ton of light gray and dark tan tiles in a checkered pattern. Never done that before, and it looks really good. And then I also revised the actual building because I had some extra gray bricks that I found, so I could remove a level of dark gray. There we go. Check it out. Look at this. You could play like chess on this thing or something. I don't know. And then I installed a couple jumper plates here, one with studs, so I could put some bushes there soon. But yeah, it's coming together. You can see there were 2 rows of dark gray, but I removed 1 row because I thought it looked better with just 1. And now we get to build the interior. The last part of this Lego Apple store was easily the most fun part. I started by building the desks for all the equipment. You know, I had to come up with ideas for an iPhone, MacBook, AirPods, Apple Watches, you name it. It's all here. I can't wait to show you all that. So let's cut to that right now. There it is. We'll start on the exterior here. The very first thing I built was actually the Apple logo. It's kind of interesting because I couldn't get the bite out of the apple, but I used a really cool technique. You can kind of see it there. It's a little flimsy, but slide it forward, prop it down. You can kind of see the parts I used. It's the, I don't know, I always called them rocket booster pieces. I actually have no idea what they're called, but they have studs on 2 sides, which enables the apple to be built with studs on both sides. So we got studs on the bottom, studs on the top. And then I used the same thing, the same piece, just in white to create the stem or leaf. I think it's a leaf. My bad. But yeah, the exterior was super cool. Very simple. I wish I had more glass pieces. I have these guys and then these guys and then all the glass pieces I used on the door. So you know, you work with what you got. I say that all the time, but I genuinely mean that. If you don't have certain pieces, you work with what you got. Something I absolutely love is this checkered sidewalk around the front. It really kind of makes the Apple Store pop. And I gotta say, I took inspiration from the Apple Store in the Irvine Spectrum Center in California. I served my mission there and got to see the Apple Store, and it looks really cool. I'll put a picture up on screen, but yeah, definitely from the front, it looks like an Apple Store, what it's supposed to look like. But out front here, we've got this guy with his Apple bag. I think that's super chill. And this guy, this older fella, he's got his new iPhone, or maybe it's old, maybe he's taking it in to get it fixed, or maybe he just forgot how to turn it on. I don't know. And then over here, we got this lady with some AirPods. I'll show you all that piece here in a minute. I'm super proud of the part usages I used to create the Apple technology and the products. We got these little plants out here, you know, and then I ran out of dark tan of these like 2x2 squares, and so I had to use these, which actually looks nice in the front. The roof isn't the most exciting thing in the world. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty ugly. I did get to finally use these. I've had these in like my parts for years. I've just never had a desire to use them. Actually, I've had a lot of desire to use them. I just haven't put them on anything that I thought looked good. So this pops right off. I use some plates to keep it in place, and these tiles here to also keep it in place, and you can see the inside. So when you first walk into the Apple Store here, you're greeted by these glass doors that aren't actually doors. They don't function as doors. I wish they did. Early on in this build, they did, but now they don't because I thought it looked really ugly. Got this lady right here. She just purchased something Apple related. She's got her bag. You can't see her better there. She probably had to take out a mortgage to get the new iPhone or something. And over here, we've got this security guard, which is super cool because in the Irvine Spectrum Center Apple Store that I went to, well, at this point, it's been years, but there was always a security guard posted up right here. So yeah, shout out that guy. Never knew him, never talked to him. That's my bad, but he was super cool. Had the coolest job ever, standing in that corner, making sure nobody stole anything. Our first table here, like I said, they're actually tan. So I had to use as much tan as I had, and that's pretty much just the tabletop. So, but yeah, we've got like the Apple Oculus Vision thing. I don't know what they're called. Can't afford them anyway. I'd rather buy a house. And we've got the super nice and mega chunky headphones that Apple released pretty recently. I got this cool little stand for them, kind of like the sand blue highlights. I think that's kind of accurate. And then we've got AirPods over here. We got 3 cases of AirPods. Super nice. We got stuff on the wall. This side, there's nothing too specific. This is a screen. The black tiles are screens. They're supposed to represent. We have the worker here. This is an Apple employee. Apparently they wear blue shirts. That's the closest thing I had to a blue shirt. He looks nice. He's carrying a brand new iPhone in his hand to give to a customer. Good man right there. We got this homie over here. He's about to spend $100+ on one of these computers. So on this table here, we've got a MacBook Air. Actually, that's the MacBook. This is the MacBook Air. It's represented with one tile. It's very thin. We've got the keyboard there, that tile. We've got a giant Apple monitor. We've got the mouse there in gray, and then we have the little computer. That's that gray, dark gray square. So that's the little computer. So he's about to buy something. We got this big screen back here. All Apple stores, I feel like, have those. Then turning around here, we've got ourselves the iPads. So we've got 2 iPads there, and then we have Apple Watches. So the Apple Watches, kind of hard to replicate with Lego, I'm not gonna lie, but that's them. They're posted up on those little stands. I think it looks cool. On this wall, once again, we've got a screen, we've got more AirPods, and then we have phone cases. You know, phone cases that cost as much as a Lego set. Like, I don't know who's buying a phone case from Apple. We always get them from like Amazon or something. And down here, we've got probably the most iconic table. It's the iPhone table. So we've got lots of iPhones on these display charger things, which, by the way, they're really cool. They're like magnetic to the phone. Like, I don't even know how that works, but then they also charge them too. So yeah, we've got one in a box there. Just this lady has one, she's holding it, thinking about buying it. She might want to talk to the husband first because iPhones are expensive. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Lots of action going on in here. Lots of action on the exterior of the Apple Store. I really enjoyed putting this together. I really wish I had more windows. I had more gray brick. I could make it bigger, but you know, you work with what you got. I say that all the time, and it's true. Putting the roof of the Apple Store back on could not be more simple. It is literally like that. Super easy, nice fit, sets on, locks in place. It's not going anywhere. But But yeah, it was super fun to put this together. I really enjoyed it. I think the finished product looks great. I really wish I had more glass pieces right there to give it a little bit more of a modern vibe, but I think it's okay. I want to try and build a larger Apple logo, maybe coming soon, who knows. And I will say, if y'all want to support my channel, go download these free instructions to build this iPhone. I designed this a few months ago. Y'all can go download the instructions for free on my Rubricable. I'll put a link in the description down below. It is life size. It's pretty cool. It's a fun little, I literally had people ask me if it's a real iPhone. Really cool. Before y'all head out for the day, be sure to comment below if you guys are Android or Apple users. I got an Apple. I'm recording it with it right now. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.